Hi everybody, Judy Tuttle here from Tuttle Up Stamping, independent Stampin' Up demonstrator in Midland, Texas. And I'm here today with another Tuttle Thursday tip. And today we're going to talk about scoring your cardstock bases correctly, and maybe a simple trick to save you a little time if you want to score a whole bunch and cut them all very quickly. I have a tip about that. And I also have a tip on some simple layers. I'm going to show you some measurements for some very simple layers on the front of your card. So let's get started. I'm going to turn the camera down and around here. Got to get myself upside down. There we go. And I'm hoping that very soon in the near future, I'm going to have a new computer program that's going to help me do all this seamlessly. So we're working on that right now as we speak. So here we go. Okay, so typical card fronts are called A2 card. These fit in our standard envelopes, okay? And sometimes we have them, we do some fun folds, but basic. I'm very basic today because this is for my new stampers who just need to know the basics and not all the fancy crazy folds, okay? So an A2 card front, these are both A2 card fronts. You can see they're exactly the same size. They will fit in a standard A2 envelope. And you can see they're exactly the same size, okay? But this one opens vertically like this, okay? And this one opens horizontally like this, okay? But they're the same size because they both take a half a sheet of cardstock. They're just cut a little differently. So if you go down here to my measuring board, let me move this up a little bit further maybe so you can see it. You can see that the card front is 4 1/4 inches wide, and up here you can see that it's 5 1/2 inches long. So the long side is 5 1/2, the short side is 4 1/4. Same with this one. If I put it here, the short side is 4 1/4, the long side is 5 1/2. That is a standard cardstock card front, okay? Now, this one is cut 4 1/4 by 11 and scored at 5 1/2. This one is cut 5 1/2 by 8 1/2 and scored at 4 1/4. Okay, so I'm going to show you a trick for a shortcut for doing one whole sheet of cardstock at once. Okay, so here we go. Be sure to ask any questions along the way if you're confused. But I have a sheet of cardstock here. Okay, this is our new Pretty in Pink. And a sheet of cardstock measures 8 1/2 by 11. And this one, I want to score it so that it will fold open vertically like this. I'm calling this a vertical card opening, okay? So it's going to open vertically like this, okay? So if you want to score your cardstock so that it will open vertically, what you're going to do is turn it the opposite direction. So I'm going to turn it horizontally and score it at 5 1/2. So I'm going to turn this horizontally. I'm going to put this, let me turn this the other way for you guys maybe. There we go. I'm going to turn it horizontally and I'm going to put it on the 5 1/2 inch mark. So a vertical card opening, you're going to turn it horizontally and put it on the 5 1/2 inch mark. Now, you don't want to use the dark blade, that's a cutting blade. So you want to use the soft blade, which is the scoring blade, and you're going to score that line right there. Okay? Then you turn it vertically and you put it on the 4 1/4 inch mark and cut it. That way you get 2 card fronts that are standard size, only cutting once. Okay, so if you score it first, the whole sheet of cardstock, then you only have to cut the cardstock once. So maybe you're saying, Judy, why would I want two? Well, I'll tell you why. One reason is you can always save one. I have these little clear file folders here, and if I only needed one, I would just take this second one and stick it in here and grab it. That way I can just grab it and go the next time I want that size, okay? The second thing is oftentimes when I am making a card, if I'm designing a card and spending time making a card, I will make two. You already have all the stuff out. You already have all the stamp sets out, right? You already have everything out. If you're making one, go ahead and make two. Use one to send, use one to keep for later when you need it, okay? So that is how you cut a vertical opening card. You're gonna turn it horizontal, score it 5 1/2, and then cut at 4 1/4. Okay, maybe I should have had that on here. I'll put this on here again. We'll do that one more time, okay? So, vertical opening card, you're gonna turn it horizontal. Let me move this back down this way. You're gonna turn it horizontal, score it 5 1/2, cut at 4 1/4. Right down the middle, long ways, okay? Now, what if you want a card that opens the other way? What if you want a card that opens this way? Okay? Sometimes I do. Sometimes I want it to open sideways. I kind of go back and forth between the two. So this time you want a horizontal folding card. So you're going to turn it vertically, just like I have it right here. I'm going to put this sticky note over here. I'm going to turn it vertically, and I'm going to score it at 4 1/4. So remember, the two big numbers are 4 1/4 and 5 1/2. So I'm turning it vertically. I'm scoring it all the way down at 4 1/4, and then I will turn it horizontally and cut at 5 1/2. That way, whoops, I didn't get it all the way down. Let me try that again. Cut it at 5 1/2. I stopped too soon. Okay. So we have two that are, when we fold them, already scored and ready to go, and they're that A2 card size, okay? So I would use one, and I would keep the other one in my stash over here to use later. All right, let's do that one more time. I want a vertical opening card. So I'm going to turn it horizontal. I'm going to score it at 5 1/2. Okay, and then what am I going to do? Turn it vertically, cut at 4 1/4. Okay, then I have two card fronts, card bases that are vertically opening, and they're the same size, okay? Let's do it one more time if we want a horizontal card. If we want a card to open horizontally like this, we need the score line to be right here. So we're gonna put our paper in, turn it vertically, and score it at 4 1/4. All the way down, then turn it horizontally and cut at 5 1/2. So we're either scoring at 5 1/2 and cutting at 4 1/4, or we're scoring at 4 1/4 and cutting at 5 1/2, okay? So these are simple A1 card bases. This is Sans Fun Folds. This is just a basic card base, okay? Hi, Chelsea. Hi, Cindy. Thanks for joining me. Now, some of this may be too simple for some of you guys, because some of you guys are seasoned stampers, but I wanted to just give some measurements here for my new stampers that are just getting started, and oftentimes those measurements can get in the way, right? So an A2 card size when folded is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. If you want some simple layers, start with a layer, that's 4 by 5 1/4. So you're going to go down in measurement by 1/4 of an inch on the width and on the length. Now this is just basic stamping, okay? So let's say I'm going to use this lovely new floral, pretty and pink 6 by 6 paper. I'm going to put it on the 4-inch line here, and I'm going to cut it there. And then I would turn it to 5 1/4 right here and cut the layer. So this is a layer that will fit right inside that A2 card front with about 1/8 of an inch border all the way around. Okay, so let's say I'm going to attach that to my card front. This is 4 by 5 1/4. It's usually the next size down that we use when we're making layers, okay? And I'm just going to go all the way down this and kind of show you the different sizes, okay? So the next layer down, you would go 1/4 of an inch down on the width and 1/4 of an inch down on the length. So now we're looking at 3 3/4 by 5. So I'm going to switch and use a basic white here. And I'm going to cut this 3 3/4. I'm going to put it on the 3 3/4 inch mark right there by 5. And you can see that that is going to go right inside this layer here with just a little bit showing all the way around, okay? Let's go one more size down. So that was 3 3/4 by 5. 3 3/4 by 5. So the next size down, we're going to go 1/4 of an inch down on the width and 1/4 of an inch down on the length. So now my width is 3 1/2 by 4 3/4. Okay, now you'll see if I were to layer this inside, it's going to give me that 1/8 of an inch all the way around, 1/8 of an inch all the way around, and 1/8 of an inch all the way around. So do you see how just taking 1/4 of an inch off the length and the width each time is going to create some symmetrical, beautiful layers? Okay, let's do this one more time. This one was, let me remind myself, 3 1/2 by 4 3/4. Let's do a 3 1/4, the next size, by 4 1/2. So 3 1/4 by 4 1/2. Oops, I used my scoring blade instead of my cutting one. There we go. And you can see these layers keep going down in kind of a symmetrical pattern all the way around. You're getting even borders all the way around, okay? So this is just basic cutting 101, okay? So do you see how those layers just kind of get a little bit smaller? Now let's say you wanted more of this flower border right here to show. You could eliminate these two middle layers. You could put this piece right there, and you're still going to get an even border all the way around because we cut it all symmetrically, okay? So maybe you want a little more of that flower showing. So our first layer was this one right here. Maybe you want to eliminate these two layers and go straight for that layer right there, okay? That way you get a little thicker border all the way around your card. Okay, so, or maybe you still want a little thicker layer. But you want a little bit of that polka dot pink showing through, okay? So these are just the different layers that you start with, and then you can kind of play with them as you want. Maybe you don't even want them to all center. Maybe you want them to all kind of offset like this. Let me kind of do this. off to the side, right like that. Still, you're getting those even borders there, okay? So here are the measurements. I'm gonna hold this up here in case you wanna take a picture of these. And then, you know, there's lots of variations on this, but I was starting out, you know, the card front is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. The next layer down, simple layer, would be 4 by 5 1/4. Go 1/4 of an inch down on each measurement, 3 3/4 by 5. 1/4 of an inch down on each measurement would put you at 3 1/2 by 4 3/4. 1/4 of an inch down on each measurement would give you 3 1/4 by 4 1/2, and 1/4 of an inch down would give you 3 by 4 1/4. Now, magic question, what would the next layer be if you wanted it to be a simple layer? What is 1/4 of an inch less than 3? Some people have a hard time with this. So this is what I think of. You have 3 pizzas and you want to take away 1/4 of one of them. How much would you have left? Well, you'd have 2 whole pizzas and 3/4 of a pizza, right? So the next size down would be 2 3/4. Take 1/4 of a pizza off 4 1/4, you're left with 4. So the next layer down would be 2 3/4 by 4. Okay? So I hope that helps with just getting some of you started on measuring on your own. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have about this. This is a very simplified version of how to cut layers. I'm just trying to help you get started, and then you can go, there are lots of variations from this that you can go from there. So this is cutting and layering 101, okay? So let me pull the camera back up, turn my cameras back around here, and thank you for watching today's Tuttle Thursday tip, and I will be back next Thursday, maybe with a little more information on layering your cards. So God bless everybody. Thanks for watching me. Share my video out to your friends who you think could benefit from some measuring tips, and I will see you on Monday with some beautiful new cards from our new annual catalog. So God bless. See you soon. Bye-bye.